Happy Saturday and welcome to the Leadoff on the Peak One Sports Network, brought to you by Apogee Grafix, taking your vision to new heights. Go to apogeegrafix.com and use promo code PEAK1 for 10% off your order. I'm Ashton with Tony and Landen, ready to get you ready for your sports weekend. Thank you for however you're listening. What's going on, guys?
Well, it's just a busy time of year. Sports, basketball, football at all levels.
Yeah. Sports going on. You got the holidays coming up. Obviously Thanksgiving next week, so really the Christmas holidays wrapping up or gearing up to.
I think this is when NFL really going to start firing up. You're really going to see teams racing to win divisions, racing. There are going to be a lot of division matchups are going to happen here out, starting this weekend with the Cowboys. They're going to have Redskins and Giants back-to-back games here in a week's time.
Yeah, rare week we get to talk about two upcoming Cowboys games. You also have like Black Friday game, the Chiefs, who they play, Chiefs and Raiders, I think. You're going to start having Saturday games now that once college football is over, getting into bowl season.
Yeah.
Just a lot of weird games, weird times. I think that's what makes like the week between Christmas and New Year's. You just don't know what's happening, what day it is. It's just odd. It's because there's college football every day. There's NFL football mixed in there. I don't know if they still do it. It's like Capital One Bowl week or whatever. I think that's before Christmas. I think it's the week before Christmas. I don't know what the college football playoff now, if that limits how many bowl games are early on or whatever. But it obviously starts early. I think it starts about that week, right?
I would think it would have to.
Because you have 4 weeks of the college football
rounds.
playoffs, so maybe about the week before Christmas. But yeah, a lot coming up. Unfortunately, the Cowboys aren't doing good to make that more exciting on the NFL front. But I don't know. We've kind of just gotten over like what are the 5 stages of depression. I think we're at acceptance now, where we're just having fun with it now. 2 Cowboys games they play. Let's see. Yeah, 2 Cowboys games before our next show next Saturday. So they play the Commanders on Sunday in Washington, and then obviously the Giants on Thanksgiving. So in honor of the Cowboys' just outrageously disappointing season, we're just going to talk about how bad it's been historically. Talk about some stats because they've just been terrible at home this year, which is kind of odd. Because from 2022 to 2023, the Cowboys have won 16 straight home games at AT&T Stadium with an average margin of 17.5 points. I know they have been doing good, and there was a year that they went 8-0 at home, and they've been just dominating their division. I didn't know it was that good. 16 straight. That's significant. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's somehow some sort of home field advantage they're dealing with. And then all of a sudden, you talk about getting cursed. I don't know what the hell is going on, but since they've gotten blown out, they won 16 straight home games going into that Packers playoff game where they get blown out last season. They've lost 6 straight, losing by an average of 22 points.
Wow. That's not even close. It's not even
that's like
we grinded out
FCS school playing 6 straight FBS games. They may not be losing by 22, but like I that's such an anomaly. 16 straight home wins, winning by 17.5 to 6 straight losses, losing by 22 points. It's hard to lose by 22 points in the NFL.
And not a lot of major changes to this roster. This isn't a drastically different team outside of the defensive coordinator,
and you've
Mike
played
Zimmer.
1 home game without your quarterback, maybe 2. Technically, I don't know when did Dak get hurt? Did he get hurt at home? That was on the road, I think. Either way, it was late in the game. So you've played really just 1 home game with Cooper Rush, possibly 2. I can't. But
no, that probably drives the average up because they got blown out by the.
But
Eagles,
I mean, you lose by the Lions. Lose to the Lions by a lot. You lost to the Saints by a lot. The Ravens should have been more, but I mean, and the Packers as well. That's just ridiculous. If you told me they lose 6 straight by 22 on the road, I would say that's a reach. When people are like, the Cowboys suck, I'm like, they don't suck. But now, like I'm just saying in general, most
Mm-hmm.
of your life, that's what they say. Like, oh, they're mediocre. They don't suck. Not the Jaguars, not the Giants, and not the Lions before the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But this year they definitely do suck. That definitely holds true. The Cowboys have not won at AT&T Stadium this year. Winners at AT&T Stadium in 2024 include the Saints, Ravens, Lions, Eagles, and Texans. Obviously, they lost all of those teams.
So they all have more wins in Cowboys Stadium than the Cowboys have.
Yeah, because they haven't won yet. Okay, so there's 2 games with Cooper Rush because they played the Texans. Winners also include Texas A&M, the Southwest Conference Classic against Arkansas. The U.S. and Canadian national soccer teams have won in there, and of course, Jake Paul. Jake Paul has won.
More wins than the Cowboys.
I'm sure there will be comments like, have they played any playoff game? Like here in a few, like Duncanville has more wins than the Cowboys, and
Alvarado. Oh no, they played at the Star the other night when they won.
They played at the Star. So there's that list is about to grow if the Cowboys don't beat the Giants
on Thanksgiving Day
with
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito. I almost want to say Danny DeVito. With Tommy DeVito.
You know, I saw a cool interview with Tommy DeVito. I wasn't real sure. You know, when he came in, was it last year? And it's like, oh, he lives at home with his mom just down the street.
Yeah, he's kind of got Gardner Minshew vibes a little bit.
He was doing an interview and they were asking him, hey, when you do party, he's like, I'm not a drinker.
Yeah.
It's like, I never have. I've never had a sip of it. And the guy's like, well, let's go down the list. Beer? No. Wine? No. Liquor? No. And they even said, what did they say? Like the cherry, like what you put in a Shirley Temple, right? And I don't remember how they phrased it to him. They didn't say, and he said, you're talking about grenadine? And they're like, yeah, grenadine. He's like, no, never had it.
He's just like, I just don't drink.
This guy really does not drink. I mean, he's one of those that you kind of latch onto him. You're like, hey, you know what? This guy's pretty cool. Like, he really is.
Is his family like kind of religious?
I don't know.
I want to say that I thought they were Catholic, but that doesn't fit because Catholics drink.
I don't know I don't know enough about him to know, but just what little now. Like last year, I kind of thought, this guy kind of looks douchey. He was
like Gardner Minshew vibes to me.
But then you see him in an interview, which who interviews a third string quarterback?
Yeah.
Well, when you're from New third string to first string
in New York, and I think you won a couple of games, or he's very competitive in some games.
I mean, he's definitely the vibe, but what I can tell that they know what they have there. They want to see what they have in him, which is exactly what the Cowboys should be doing with Trey Lance. See what you've got so you know where to go. I mean, obviously, you do have Dak wrapped up for several years. His cap hit would be too much. You couldn't shop him now. You kind of screwed that up. You're stuck with him.
I'm sure the Cowboys, like we mentioned last year, they're in that, what do you call it, natural tanking. That would, the correct term, where you're just not going to put it, this guy's hurt. I'm not
injured. Sure they're putting the effort in to win. Like, I don't think it's that. Like, I just don't think they can win.
Yeah. And then the Giants are going to be in the same spot. They're clearly going to go for a quarterback in the draft. Maybe Shedeur Sanders. I don't know. So, obviously the Cowboys want his highest pick is they want to get. I don't know if they want to win, don't want to win. But the Giants definitely don't want to win. So it's going to be like,
it's now a race to the bottom.
Yeah. So you might be the first one to score 13 points in this game wins.
But the Cowboys are so much more of a surprise than the Giants. You kind of thought the Giants, if they're gonna run, Daniel Jones. Sorry, Daniel Jones out there
as
week
a
one
safety. And
no, but you
in practice,
but you're running him out there to start your season. He hasn't proven he's going to take this team anywhere. You knew they were going to be bottom feeders.
Yeah.
You thought they were going to be competing for the bottom spot with the Commanders. Looks like, are the Commanders in first place now?
No, they just lost to the Eagles. They were half a game back of the Eagles, and they lost on Thursday Night Football last week. So they'd be in second in the division.
Second, yeah.
But I don't think the Giants necessarily took a big hit talent-wise when they benched Daniel Jones.
No.
I mean, obviously, Daniel Jones is grossly overpaid, but he's obviously more talented.
The only other worst team
DeVito
in the NFL right now that has a longer losing streak than both the Cowboys and Giants are the Raiders.
Yeah.
They're on a 6-game losing streak.
Speaking of Minshew, he's their starting quarterback. Or he was early. I don't know if they switched to him. They
might
might
be
go.
hard.
They may go for Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. I think there will be a lot of movement because I think Shedeur Sanders is probably going number 1 overall.
Yeah.
He's just the big
The only
name.
thing that's going to stop him is possibly Travis Hunter because he's kind of a dual threat. But
I think it
don't
depends
think
on.
you
I think it
play
depends on
dual
who's.
threat
I think it depends on who's there.
Yeah.
If it's the Raiders there, they need a quarterback. If it's the
Yeah.
Jaguars there,
If they, I mean,
they're not going to take Shedeur Sanders.
yeah, I mean they have their quarterback locked up for a little bit too. So Jaguars.
How wild would that be? Like your 1 and 2 pick be Colorado.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends. You look at Travis Hunter, but I don't think he can play offensive defense in the NFL. I just think it's going to take such a big toll on his body.
I don't know. I mean, Dion did it, and
It's
Dion's
completely did. But
Dion
Emmitt
is still an
Smith
advocate.
played 10 years. What running back have you seen play 10 years these days? For whatever reason, I don't know. Derrick Henry's the closest I can think to continue to be dominant for as long as he has. What's that, 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, I wonder, would a team at least take him? I mean, you could see a guy play dual, right? Okay, you're going to be
situational.
predominantly
So
a
what if he's
receiver, or
third
predominantly
down,
a corner.
go out there and cornerback, or corner situation, or whatever you pick, offensive, defense. What are you playing? And then now he's part time. Goes in there situational. Like I can see be receiver, go in
Because the
big
NFL
third down situations.
the NFL is much more of a physical game than college, and especially what the Big 12 is now. I mean, it's not a big physical conference anymore. It's not like you were playing in the SEC. Physical guys that are all NFL caliber. I think that's going to be the difference for him is that physicality of the game. I could honestly see him being a better cornerback.
Yeah.
And come in to help on receiving when needed. And, certain situations, maybe when you go 4 or 5 wide, maybe he's that guy that comes in.
Be a decoy on some packages.
But I would probably, if I were a team, if you had the need, I would definitely probably look at him more of a defensive back than I would a receiver.
I mean, maybe like rookie year, you could do what Dion did: offense, defense, punt return, kick return, just do everything. Just your first year, see how he can. I mean, because you're obviously going. Well, I don't know. I say you go to playing more games, but with the college football playoff, if Colorado makes it, you're going to play 15, 16 games anyway. So it's not as drastic as it used to be, where you play 12 games and now you're going to play. 17 regular season
Back to the
games.
Cowboys, you said punt return kick. That's the bright spot of that team.
Turpin.
It's Turpin. And even on offense now, he's become a huge weapon. He's the one bright spot. I mean, even outperforming CD in most cases now. I mean, you can just see CD's body language. He's done. I mean, he's in the position we're at. He's just accepting that they're bad.
And
just
dealing
knows
with
the
some
season's
shoulder
over.
deal too,
Yeah.
and why go all
But
out?
I
That
think-
game he kept going out we weren't like they were done.
I think you have to watch. I think Turpin is on pace for a NFL kickoff return record.
Yeah,
So we need to keep an eye on that the back half of the season because
the Cowboys
that could
defense
be fun.
has been improving, so you might get more of that where they're making stops. Offense is kind of cooked, but I think Parsons kind of he didn't have a sack the other day, but he had a lot of pressures. I think this defense is starting to get back to where you can call them good again. They just were awful early on. Let's look forward a few weeks. Obviously, things are pretty bad for the Cowboys. The Bengals having a similarly disappointing season. In fact, the Bengals became the first team in NFL history to get flexed out of Thursday Night Football. I guess the Browns technically, I don't know why it's pointing out the Bengals because it was Bengals Browns and now they flexed. What was it? Not Colts, Chargers.
When is that? Is it?
It's in December. It's a few weeks in December. It's further out than what I'm about to talk about. I know the Chargers are involved. Maybe it's not sure, but yeah, first team ever to get flexed out of Thursday Night Football, which is pretty bad. I know Thursday Night Football has come along, but remember it was like. Nobody wanted to play. You were having back then when it was the Jaguars and Titans, just terrible teams.
Yeah.
You had the color rush uniforms to try to make it more enticing. Now Thursday Night Football is kind of
It's better,
it's better, but you get flexed out
especially
of
out of
Thursday
that
Night
matchup. Did you see this week's the Browns and Steelers?
Steelers.
Browns game-winning drive.
in the snow.
In the snow, but you see the game to start, it's beautiful. Beautiful
Yeah.
green grass. I don't know I didn't see the whole game. When did after halftime that start snowing?
I'm not sure, but I saw I wasn't
the
watching
field
it.
was
I saw on
completely
Facebook.
coming
so
down
I jumped
heavy.
on.
It was covered in snow.
I jumped on Amazon because I am a Prime member. I don't pay for it, but
Oh, look at this guy flexing his
yeah.
Prime.
Well, I said no. I don't pay for it. Although I should. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a. What did we talk about yesterday? Your fake savings. I mentioned Kohl's was one of them where they tell you how much you save.
Oh yeah.
You said something.
Where, dang it, what was it we were?
I
talking
don't remember,
about?
but they tell you you're fake. Like, oh yeah, you saved.
Oh, it
this.
was like Hobby Lobby.
Hobby
My
Lobby
wife
or
bought
something.
a Christmas tree. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
it's 50% off.
They put on
yeah,
everything's
but it's double the price.
If it's always 50% off, is it really 50% off?
They haven't even put it out, and it's already at 50%.
Yeah.
So.
But anyways, so Amazon would tell you, hey, you saved. Apparently, I saved like $6,000 this year because we have Prime. So I guess they want to make sure. Again,
That you
I'm
know.
on
So when they go
somebody's
up on
plan.
price?
So when they they
increase.
probably have. I don't know. Again, I don't pay for it. But when you pay whatever $100 a year, probably more than I don't know. You're like, well, I'll go ahead and
I'm saving $6,000.
yeah. But what does that say about us that we save that much money on delivery, on 2-day delivery? How much are we spending if I'm saving that much money?
Bring it out. I don't want to get off topic too much, but there's a Netflix documentary I just started watching. That's it's buy now.
Oh yeah.
And it's about purchasing and how much the purchase and what's produced in this country and the waste. And I just got into it, but we can talk about that at another time. Maybe another show.
Netflix is awesome on pre-recorded things. No live stuff though. Back to the Bengals. They get flexed out of Thursday Night Football. They play on December 9th on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. But the NFL has an issue. They can't flex this game out of Monday Night Football because this is the Disney and ESPN alternate Simpsons themed broadcast. The Simpsons Fun Day Football is what they call it. Sort of like the Toy Story game. Last season, there were issues with that as well. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I remember who they played, but it was in London, I think.
Yeah.
They can't flex this game because the voiceovers and animation for the game have already started. So at this point, it would be impossible to flex anything out into that spot. So, I mean, that's a rough spot to be in because before the year, you figure Cowboys Bengals is going to be.
Now they say, okay, these specialty games we don't do on Monday or Thursday nights, that they're going to be on a Sunday, so we don't have to worry about any flexing. We're not putting them on a primetime game. Is that where this is going to take it? They're like, damn it, we screwed up.
I mean, because that Toy Story one, I mean, that was like early morning Sunday.
Yeah,
I guess in England it was prime time, but yeah, that's a good point where you don't have to worry about but I think yeah, because you have to worry about such a bad matchup on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But at the same point, you have all this work going into a Simpsons themed broadcast.
Yeah.
And who's going to watch? I mean, that may be like the most Cowboys thing this season is like, let's just go watch the Simpsons themed broadcast. What are they going to do? Screw it up? It's just going to be bad. That, I mean, let's just take this into account. You have the Jerry interview controversy after a disappointing season and a subpar offseason. Metal pieces flying off the stadium, and now just this is embarrassing because you can't get flexed out of this because you're on the Simpsons alternate broadcast, which you can't, I guess, blame Disney, NFL, ESPN. They thought beginning of the season, Cowboys Bengals. This is probably going to be a pretty good game.
This is going to be on Disney Plus. I how you watch the alternate broadcast.
Yeah, why?
So are those viewing numbers, going to spike because of this such a bad matchup? It's like I would rather watch the Simpson broadcast of it than I would the actual game.
I think the ratio of Disney Plus to regular TV, ESPN, will probably be higher than normal. The ratio will be skewed towards that because of that reason. But I just think it's going to be a bad, forcing Troy Aikman to. He clearly doesn't like calling Cowboys games, or at least he puts it up that he doesn't want to be a favorite. I don't know what, but he's already had to call one Cowboys game this year. And now you're just forcing. I mean, hopefully Trey Lance is playing by this point to make it kind of interesting. I mean, just no offense to Cooper Rush, but you're a backup quarterback for a reason. Not that Trey Lance is much better. Apparently, the Cowboys, whatever reason, don't believe Trey Lance is better. I haven't seen any.
Which is ridiculous that you give up the draft picks you gave up. to
Yeah.
bring this kid in.
And not like at this point, you
haven't
haven't
even
even
tried.
Just go, just go out. Like I get it. You have to succeed in practice to succeed, to be able to start and play or whatever.
GM Jerry is getting, what's the right term? I want to make sure I'm careful about how I say this.
Don't want to get us
in a nice
canceled.
way. He's getting duped, right?
Yeah.
The Niners duped him with this. The draft pick for Trey Lance was a complete waste. This Mingo deal with the Panthers. He hasn't even touched the field. He's even suited out. Like
Amari Cooper trading him for like a fifth and they swap fifth or sixth round picks, and then it's also
and now Amari Cooper's got life in Buffalo. He's not looking bad there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because the Browns got like a third round pick for him. So, and he wasn't performing much better than because here when they traded him, he was doing okay. Like you say, okay, road games, he's gonna disappear, one catch for like 8 yards or something. But it's not like he was, overuse a term in this episode, bottom feeder. He wasn't a terrible receiver. It's just as much praise as we give them for drafting more than 6 out of 7 drafts, your first round pick hits in a really like Hall of Fame after Hall of Famer.
They don't understand how the trade block works.
They don't understand. Like we have to dog them on it. Like, can you think of any trades the Cowboys have made? Like you give up a first round pick for Amari Cooper. It was necessary.
Recent years, you mean? Like
anything.
Well, I mean, Dion was probably not a bad move for them.
What did they give up for Dion though?
I don't know. I'd have to go back.
Yeah, no, it ended up giving them a chance because I think they lost. San Francisco won a Super Bowl and then they traded for him and then they won a Super Bowl. I'm not sure, but
I mean the Herschel Walker trade.
Was that
worked
Jimmy,
out.
though?
That was probably Jimmy. Yeah.
Was that more? Which is exactly why we haven't been able to get a good coach because we're saying no, Jerry. It was all you, man. Yeah, go ahead and get another one. We'll give you all the praise. Why does Jerry not like? I think he's at a point now where he can't hire a GM because if they succeed, then we're like, see, Jerry, we told you. But if you had just done it in the first place. Like you don't have to say it's me. It's not Jimmy Johnson doing all this. Just say, yeah, Jimmy's doing it. I hired Jimmy. I hired Jimmy to do that. Why can't you just say you did that?
I still remember as a kid. This is a vivid memory. One of the first memories I can think of that. Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan. Like I don't know how long I've been. I don't know when it started, but the one I can really remember is Super Bowl 30. I don't remember the number. It was in Arizona when they played the Steelers, beat the Steelers. Such a vivid memory. And that
Jerry
was the
said,
last.
I can beat.
That was the last Super Bowl that I remember.
It's the last Super Bowl
Well,
I had.
but that's the last like big memory I have as a kid of it really being the glory days, And I was probably 10 at the time.
And that kind of stroked Jerry's ego
So it's
because he was saying
almost 30 years.
He was saying he could put any coach in there. Like he didn't need Jimmy Johnson. And unfortunately through Barry Switzer, I mean, he was right, but
we gotta
it was Jimmy Johnson's team.
Pull that clip and put that back in Jerry's face.
Yeah.
And show the list of coaches that have been here. Poor Landen hasn't even seen, I don't even know how he could be a Cowboys fan because he's never even seen them be really successful.
I mean, he has to be. That's the reason everybody's either a Cowboys fan or they hate the Cowboys. It has nothing to do with how good they are, how mediocre they've been, 8-8, whatever. It's that they're always on primetime. They're always on TV for not, and to their credit, outside of this season, obviously they've put multiple times. This is like outside of the season, they've had 2 losing seasons in like 20-something years, and it's always because Romo got hurt, Dak got hurt. This, I think they were going to go for losing season regardless. This is an anomaly. This is whatever you want to call it. But they've been above average. They haven't been Jacksonville, even though Jacksonville's been to an AFC championship. They haven't been Carolina for the most time, even though Carolina's been to a Super Bowl. Detroit before the last 2 years. Like, think how bad it is to have this team and then to be in Jacksonville. They're not talking about the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Like you turn on First Take every day they're talking about, or any morning show, national morning show, they're talking about the Cowboys and stuff. We know we've been asked questions from friends across the country about random Des Bryant some video coming out. Like once it comes out, Des Bryant's career is over. No video ever came out. It's like they're just taking. It's the dog days of summer. In the middle of summer, you only have baseball going on. Random stories for the Cowboys. Oh, this is such a big deal. Yeah. This is such a big deal. Like,
they're the Yankees of the NFL.
But the Yankees,
they're the Lakers of, like.
But the Yankees and Lakers are making conference champ, and it's sad. It's sad that that's the bar. We always say we're not saying they're winning championships. Although the Yankees haven't won one in a while, but they've been to a World Series. Lakers go to them, but it's like an arbitrary bar. Those
are the most hated franchises.
There's an arbitrary bar that the Cowboys have not been to an NFC Championship game. We don't even say Super Bowl anymore. It's like they haven't been in an NFC Championship game in almost 30 years. So that's what when the Mavericks, Stars, and Rangers all had been to that conference championship level, semifinal level. We made such a big deal that all the teams have been there multiple times in the last 10 years, and the Cowboys haven't been in 30.
Yeah.
It's like that's how bad it's gotten. Now we've lowered our standards from Super Bowl to just make the NFC Championship. That's like when everyone asks, how does this coach keep his job? Just make it to an NFC Championship game. That's it. It doesn't even matter what happens. And now that could still be possible. Mike McCarthy could save his job because we'll talk about the good year. Statistically, the Cowboys still could have the number 1 seed, the NFC. You tell me how likely this is to happen. I have a long list of things that need to finagle and move around. Jerry should sell his soul to the devil again for this because if this happens, something's going.
Kids' souls now.
There's like witchcraft or something going on. Obviously, the Cowboys would have to win out. They'd be 10-7. Washington beats Philadelphia in Week 16. Other than that, both of those teams, Washington and Philadelphia, lose out. Then we'll go kind of by division here. The Giants have to beat Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Done. That's not going to happen, but whatever. The Cowboys are more likely to win out than the Giants are to get 3 more wins. But let's say Giants beat Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta. Still with me? AFC teams have to win all remaining games against NFC opponents. So no NFC team can beat an AFC team the rest of the season. Detroit has to lose out. Minnesota loses all remaining games except for Week 18 against Detroit. Green Bay and Chicago both have to finish 9-8. San Francisco, the Rams, Seattle all finish 9-8 with Arizona finishing 8-9. And we just talked about Arizona was in first place.
But that division is so tight, it could flip. I mean, the Niners are at the bottom. They could end up being winning the division. I mean, that one's such a wide open race.
Yeah, all those teams would finish 9-8.
That
Arizona
could actually
8-9.
happen.
Yeah. The Falcons finish 9-8, winning the NFC South. If all of those things happen, Cowboys are your number 1 seed at 10-7.
Without a quarterback.
Although, now that we just talked about all their troubles at home, wouldn't you rather than be a wild card team? Because they're more likely to win on the road than at home anyways.
Yeah, the odds, the statistics don't lie.
So, all that happening, do you think Vegas would give you odds on that? Like, what kind of odds could you get? You think 10,000 to 1? No, I don't.
No, I mean, if there's still a shot, wouldn't they? There's a Cowboys fan other than us, because I would not do it. I'm not that big of a Cowboys fan, that would go and still put money on the Cowboys.
Okay, Landen,
in this situation.
Look that up. Put
what are the Vegas odds?
Vegas odds for Cowboys to get number 1 seed. You just see if they're just
if they have anything there. Yeah.
Yes. And if there's something dumb like they're statistically eliminated, don't say it. Don't ruin all this stuff.
For whoever wasted this much time to dissect this, we at least have to applaud them.
I mean, I know.
What's the day today? November what?
23rd.
Okay. Well, as of the 12th, they were minus 210 to make the playoffs.
That's just the playoffs. We're talking about number 1 seed. I want
number 1 seed.
I want like 10,000 to 1.
They may not have any
I'm not a degenerate. I don't know what that means. I don't know how much money I put down to get minus 200. I want like 10,000 to 1 odds. Where why not put $10 on that?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not the first person to look this up because it just auto searches.
Well, it's because of this meme that I shared this meme as well. But I think on Yahoo you could you could pick who wins what game. So I think they just put Cowboys win, and they messed around until they saw the Cowboys at the number 1 seed. But what tiebreak? Because you're assuming tiebreakers in all of this as well. But if they're 10-7, but you say 10-7, then all these teams, Green Bay, Chicago, San Francisco, the Rams, Seattle, Falcons all finish 9-8.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles would have to, because the Eagles are at 9 wins, right? Or I guess they're at 10 wins, but if
that would be
if the Cowboys beat them, then
Plus, this is just to make, I can't find for number 1 seed, but to make the playoffs right now.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 8,000, plus 10,000, plus 6,000.
So how much money do I have to put down to win anything?
The only teams above us, or below us, Jacksonville, New York, New England, the Browns, and the Raiders.
Both New Yorks, I guess. I'm guessing. I mean,
they're
the
all
Jets
the same.
have to be in who's in a worse
3-8.
Who's in a worse position, the Jets or the Giants? The Jets have the better supposedly the better
I
quarterback.
would say the Jets are in a worse position. I think the Giants, they've got a young roster. I mean, I guess you could argue the Jets too. I think the problem
Outside of Aaron Rodgers, yeah.
Where the Jets are, though, is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, is he going to play after this year? Is he going to play? How many more years do you really have of him?
But look at their division, too. Are the Jets playing a better division?
Yeah.
Do they, though? Like the Bills, compare them to the Eagles. I know they're better.
But the NFC East is always wide open. That's the thing. Yeah. There's always a shot in the NFC East because those teams beat up on each other. I mean, how many? It's a super low stat if it is. Is that the same team ever won back-to-back years in the NFC East?
2004.
It's less than 1%.
Less than 1. I'm going to see if I can get odds on Vegas and just put $10 down. Because even if it's like 10,000 to 1 odds, it's like $100,000 you'd win. Something like that. Like, why not just put some money down? Of course, we live in Texas. Can't do that. All right, guys.
Get a red eye to Vegas tonight.
Get a red
yeah, you got to do it quick before games play tomorrow, or because that could all be out of the water. One game could change all of that tomorrow. But how crazy would that be if you make it through this weekend?
And all of it. No, I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm not
happens.
rooting for it because I'd rather them just get a higher, because they're in a terrible position anyway.
What you need now is you need to put a board up here in the studio of all of these scenarios and then just start making the adjustments. Whiteboard it.
Yeah, I think noon on Sunday, the Cowboys play Washington. So I'll give it to about 12:30. And then it'll be over. The Commanders will have already beat them. But
Madden simulated this, and it's a 24-21 win for the Cowboys in Madden simulation.
I mean, Cooper Rush has shown he can play in the past. A few years ago.
He's just looked
it's
really
a rivalry
bad the past 2
game.
games.
It's a rivalry game, but they do have a rookie quarterback. So
I think this might be the telling game because I think the Commanders are on a 2 or 3 game losing streak. This might be the telling sign if the Commanders can't hold off the Cowboys the way they've been playing.
Yeah.
The Commanders might have been a fluke. I thought that when it started, then they go, what are they, 5? They were 5-0 or something. And then I'm like, man, they might be for real.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry will be retweeting this, that I shared this scenario if the Cowboys win.
There's always a shot, Jerry. Always a shot.
Yeah, you're saying there's a chance. Can you believe there's only less than a month to the all-ages Sonic the Hedgehog tournament? Mark your calendars, December 14th at 2 p.m. at Soulfire in Cleburne, located at 6 North Caddo Street. Get ready for some epic competition with our Sonic 2 speed run and 1 versus 1 race in Sonic Adventures 2. Plus, winners will snag 2 tickets to see Sonic 3 in theaters on December 20th. Peak 1 will be there, and we've got official tournament t-shirts available for just $24.99 over at the DTMA.store. Link is in the description box, and they're working on some exciting cash prizes for the champions too. If you want to join, you can grab your tickets at Soulfire in Cleburne, online at their site, or on their event page. And don't forget, if you're between the ages of 6 and 12, enter the Sonic and Shadow Drawing Contest. They've extended the deadline to the day of the tournament. I think if you win that contest, you get free tickets into the tournament. All right. So obviously we're talking just mainly Cowboys. We're going to wrap this up. Next week, we're going to get a lot more into college football. Not a whole lot of big time games this week. I mean, you do have Indiana, Ohio State. That's obviously the game of the week. Maybe Army, Notre Dame.
A lot of implications there.
A lot of implications there. I mean, I think most people are picking Ohio State to win that.
I think Indiana has an argument, being 10-0 to, why are they in fifth place? The fifth,
not a lot of competition, I think. Texas is similar in that, but when Texas played some teams,
when you have Oregon's number one at undefeated 11-0, and then they're 10-0, but they're at 5.
Yeah,
I think they have an argument.
I don't think they've beat a ranked opponent yet, though.
But as Texas, we talked about this.
Well,
right?
the thing with Texas though,
is they played Georgia and they lost to Georgia, and
Georgia's
above them.
But you're not going to do drastic things right now in the rankings. You're just going to go pat. So at the time, Texas beat Michigan. Michigan was ranked. Oklahoma was ranked. I think Vanderbilt was even ranked. So in the moment, you're going to rank them somewhere. So at this point, they're not going to say, well, Texas has been third, number 3, number 4.
Yeah, they haven't beat a current ranked opponent, but they've beat, because Michigan was in the top 25.
Yeah, no, none of their wins are current top.
No.
I'm not saying that's helping them, but it would be hard to say, well, now Texas hasn't been correct, so they're third. Let's just move them back to 7th.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Now, we saw with Florida State last year. If it's close,
they haven't beat a ranked opponent.
Yeah, it could get, but they have opportunities. They do play Texas A&M. They do have the SEC championship, so they have an opportunity, as well as Indiana has an opportunity now. Big Ten championship implications. Indiana beat Michigan as well. Michigan was obviously
will there be an
later in the
argument
season.
if Indiana beats Ohio State that they don't jump to number 2?
Oh no, they have to jump to number 2 if they beat Ohio State. Is it in Ohio? Is it at Ohio State?
Yeah, I think so.
So that would be even better. But I mean, they obviously Ohio State would fall out. They would have to jump Texas because Texas is playing Kentucky. Outside of maybe Texas scoring 80 points or something.
Yeah, it'd have to be a huge.
It would, and Texas typically doesn't win like that. So that's and Kentucky's a formidable team. I mean, they're not terrible. So I think this is like pop. Assuming Texas doesn't, because obviously they're playing A&M next week. As long as they don't not looking forward, should be like a 30-10 win. Something, nothing crazy. It's not going to be a big win, but yeah, if Indiana wins, if they beat Ohio State, they have to be number 2. Who's number 4 right now?
Penn State.
Yeah, you'd have to jump Penn State. I think depending on what happens with Oregon, I don't know if Oregon plays today. Who they play? No, they do play today. I remember. I think. But I think there's an argument, depending on how Indiana wins, they should jump Oregon too, being undefeated. But, I mean, Indiana's just, playing their schedule. They beat Michigan in the moment.
Oregon doesn't have a game this week.
Okay, so Indiana wins by anything more than
they play
a
Washington
touchdown.
Next week. Next Saturday, they play Washington.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to in a second, because next week, we're going to talk about it because it's rivalry week. But yeah, Indiana wins by anything more than a touchdown. I think they jump.
Penn State plays Minnesota.
No, and I think there are a lot of theories like Indiana should forfeit. Indiana should bench their quarterback, because if you bench your quarterback, because obviously with what happened with Florida State, just save him. If you lose this game, even if you get blown out, you have to think, well, it was with their backup quarterback.
Yeah,
it's not going to knock you out of the playoff. Although I think.
I
think losing's not going to knock you out of the playoff.
The Notre Dame Army matchup today.
That's what I was mentioning, because Army's still undefeated. That's Army's ticket into the playoff.
I mean, I'm not convinced Notre Dame is the 8th, or what are they, 6th best team in the country.
We'll see what Army has to win their conference to make it into. I mean, if they beat Notre Dame, I get. Well, no, I don't think they could lose another game and not be ranked higher than 12th. But that's not one of the power conferences.
Playing Arizona tonight too.
Yeah, and that'd be a lot better game if BYU just didn't lose. But a non-Power 5 conference, or whatever power conferences are now, the 5th seed goes to the highest ranked non-power conference. So but you have Boise State up there in the Mountain West. Are they still in the Mountain West? You have Boise State in the Mountain West that's ranked high. And Army's up there. If Army loses Army losing Notre Dame doesn't affect their conference standings, because Notre Dame's not in their conference. But that affects their how highly they're ranked. So unless you're willing on Boise State to lose, or I think there's another one they're fighting too.
I mean, a lot
Maybe
of
the
non-historical teams are in the race here. You know, you have the SMU's, you need some Boise State.
I like the
Army,
argument SMU's in the driver's seat.
You know, Colorado. I mean, really, this top 25 is, 50-50 split. You've got teams that, you expect they're there. They've been there for decades. And the other half is teams you're like, wow, where did they come from? Man, I think a big testament to the NIL and allowing these teams to be able to spread the money around now has made it much more competitive for a bigger range of schools.
Yeah, in Colorado, like, again, I know we got some hate in the comments when I mentioned I'm not a Dion fan, and I was called a Dion hater. Like, I'm not. If anything, I might actually kind of be a Dion fan. I'm not saying I'm rooting for him, but I like the chaos. Like,
I'm rooting for him to be successful.
He doesn't piss me off like when he does all this kind of like this is when he says dumb things and kind of over. But I'm not rooting for him.
But he knows he played for big franchises. He played for Jerry. He's friends with Jerry.
Yeah.
He knows what it takes to get your name in the media. You got to say some things that ruffle feathers, and he's doing that.
Whatever you want. You take a one-loss team or one-win team, and now
you're competing for a playoff
now that
spot.
BYU lost, I think they're favorites to win. Colorado are favorites to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
It's them, Kansas State, and BYU are like the main three front runners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Colorado will probably do it. And, there's a lot of people silent right now. And if Colorado ends up losing one of these games and blows it, they're not going to be silent anymore. Yeah. A lot of haters are going to come out. But, we're going to still keep talking about Colorado as long as they keep winning. But, yeah, next Saturday we're going to dig deep into college football. So we have the return of one of the best rivalry games. It's been more than a decade. The Lone Star Showdown. You got Texas and Texas A&M. All of us have our foot in that because we're all Texas and Texas A&M fans, and we're going to talk next week about we're going to keep our eye on it, obviously this week and hopefully because there's a lot of teams in the running for the SEC championship, and this Texas A&M game we're going to have a lot of implications, and we're going to talk about the possibilities of having a rematch for Texas A&M in the SEC championship game. So that's what we're going to talk that game. We're going to talk, obviously, other games in college football, and then we're going to talk about the SEC championship scenarios. You guys have anything else you want to say? Get one more last stab at the Cowboys?
Last takes.
Cowboys win another game this year? They got to win one, right?
I think they win one. I think you have to,
they're playing the Giants.
Yeah, and on Thanksgiving Day. If they don't win that one, I think you have a shot. You still have Cincinnati's not playing well.
You have Carolina,
you should win that one. I think if you don't, heads will roll.
Yeah. Yeah, unless Jerry wants Ashton GD and he's just saying lose out. You pick him in the top 10. Thank you for watching this episode of Leadoff, however you're tuning in. Hit that like button if you like the show. If not, hit it twice and don't forget to subscribe. With Tony and Landen, I'm Ashton. See you next Saturday.